Well, good afternoon, my friends. I'm so glad that you could join me today. I thought we'd have a bit of a stitch along. Oh, already words. I thought we'd have a bit of a stitch along, and I hope each and every one of you had a very Merry Christmas. Now that Christmas is over, geez, we're looking to New Year's already on Sunday? My God, can you believe it is going to be 2023 already? I just don't know where this year went. It came and it was gone, and I don't know what happened. I have no idea. I felt like I was just shopping for Christmas last year, and all of a sudden I'm shopping again for Christmas this year. Who knows where it went? But it did. So, oops, I can tell you that age-old saying of the older you get, the faster time goes is absolutely true. The older I get, the faster the time goes. I don't know where. I can tell you, though, that we all had a wonderful Christmas. My daughter, her husband, and the grandkids were here for dinner on Christmas Day and opened up their presents. They were so excited. The kids were. I had to... Abby was, Nana, I don't believe you got this for me. He had wanted Legos, the Saturn, I think it was, the Saturn rocket done in Legos. And we had talked about that before. And he said, oh, I really like that, Nana, but it's so expensive. He's being penny conscious already. So Nana knew exactly what she had to get him for Christmas. And when he opened it, his eyes just got huge, and he said, "Oh, I didn't think you would." Yeah, that's what Nanas are for. And Emmy was just so excited over the simplest little thing. She, for some reason, is fascinated with slime. Of all things, slime. So I found these little slime things and got her those as just something little and dumb in addition to her big present. And I'll tell you what, she played with them the whole time we were here. And before they left, she said, Nana, this was the best Christmas present I got. Oh, don't you just love it? That's what Christmas is all about. It's all about, well, it's more than just all about the kids, but that's one of the things that brings Nana such joy, is seeing the kids enjoy what you get them and just having a good time. Yeah, they did leave a little early because my daughter had, I don't know, something hit her on the way here, where she all of a sudden got sick in the stomach, and I felt so bad for her. So, I mean, they were here maybe 2 hours or so, but then they went home because she just wasn't feeling good. So we will make the trip down to them tomorrow and spend some time with her and the grandkids. So I hope all of you had a wonderful day, and I hope all of you made some fond memories for Christmas 2022. Because before you know it, Christmas 2023 is going to be here. Good Lord. I don't know how that happens. I just don't know. So, what do we have to talk about today? I made a little bit of a list, but we'll see. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Sometimes I have to stop and count out loud a little bit. Let's see. Well, let's do this one first. First, if you're in the diagonal group, you will notice, or you may have noticed, that I made a bit of a survey. Just because this is something that comes up from time to time, and I just wanted to see where people were at with their knowledge of our fabrics that we use to stitch. So I posted a survey I put a list of different kinds of fabrics, stitching fabrics, and asked which ones of these are evenweave. So I bet some of you that saw that in the group are probably wondering what the answers are. So first I'll tell you what the consensus was. 219 people actually took the survey. Okay, so I thank all of them, or all of you that did, for doing that. It was much appreciated. Out of those votes, Jobeline got 18% of the vote. Lugana got 24% of the vote. Ada Cloth got 8% of the vote. Murano and Hardanger got 9% of the vote. $5 went to linen. 4% picked Davos, silk gauze, and waste canvas. 3% picked Edinburgh linen and Belfast linen. And Oslo, Quaker cloth, legacy linen, and mono canvas got 2% of the votes. And poor little Anne cloth only got 1% of the vote. So that was out of 219 people, 18%, each one of those, that percentage was the percent of people that voted that particular fabric was an evenweave. So, my friends, I would like to tell you the answers of which of these fabrics are evenweave. I found it interesting that, especially for the Jobeline and the Lugana, that percentage wasn't higher. I found that rather interesting. I was not surprised by some of the other ones. But I will tell you that every fabric I mentioned is even weave. Everyone on that list was an even weave. Now you're being very puzzled, aren't you? Well, I thought linen was linen. The industry, for some reason, has chosen to give those designations to fabric. However, and I'm not sure why, I can only assume that that happened because, okay, linen is made from flax. So that is one type of fiber. So that linen comes from flax, gets woven, and through the process made into linen. Linen is then woven into fabric. So that's one thing. A lot of the others, okay, Ada cloth, for example, is cotton. So that's cotton woven into the fabric. The weave is different. It doesn't look the same. The weave is blocky. It isn't a single strand weave like your linen or your jobelin is. And then, well, Ann cloth is almost like, I can't remember what fiber it is, but it's, it's fuzzier and what have you. Silk gauze, of course, is silk, so people don't always think of that as even weave. But all of these, and your Lugana and your Murano and your Jobelin are fabrics that are made with a blend of fibers, like it might be cotton and viscose. So I think what happened is the industry started calling Lugana and Jobelin even weaves, for lack of a better term to come up with, where in fact every one of these fabrics is even weave. So, and I just like to review this every once in a while because I think people get really confused with it. What is the definition of an even weave? By definition, an even weave is the same number of warp threads and the same number of weft threads. So that if you count your threads of your fabric vertically, 1 inch, that will match the threads in the fabric horizontally, 1 inch. So the easiest way to remember that is if I stitch 10 stitches across by 10 stitches high, does it become a square? If it does, it's even weave, regardless of the fiber content. Fiber content has nothing to do with even weaveness of a piece of fabric. What has everything to do is the number of threads within an inch, both horizontally and vertically, being the same. Now, if you have a piece of fabric and you stitch on it, and you, say, let's use the same 10 by 10. So you stitch a 10 by 10 square, just like my piece of gridded fabric here. These are 10 by 10 squares. This is easy grid fabric, which is Lugana with a gray line on it. You can see visually 10 by 10, it's square, therefore it's even weave. So if you take another piece of fabric and you stitch a 10 by 10 square, and it turns out to be a rectangle, either higher and skinnier or squattier and wider, then it's not even weave because it didn't turn into a square. There are linens out there that are not even weave, as in your 5260 linen. I think that's by, I want to say it's called Sesame Seed. There's one called Sesame Seed. I believe that's a legacy linen. I think it comes from Access Commodities. So if that one is not square, okay, so that, depending on which way you turn it, it's either going to be tall and skinny or it's going to be wide and squatty, depending on which way you turn the fabric. I did a Quaker design on an uneven weave, and that's exactly what happened. I made it that it was My Quaker motifs were squatty, but wider. So that's the difference. All of our cross-stitch fabrics, unless otherwise stated, are even weave. By definition of even weave. The industry has named certain fabrics to be even weaves, and I think personally that's just for the purpose of having something to call it. Because if it's a man-made, not a man-made fiber, but if it's a blend of fibers, cotton and viscose, what do you call that? Fiber, what's an easy term for the industry to call that? There probably isn't one. So I just found it curious, the number of people that, I just found the numbers very curious. I just did. I would have thought Jovelin and Lugano would have gotten higher numbers because the survey was pick all that apply. So it wasn't that you just had to choose one. You could choose none. You could choose them all. You could choose one. You could choose 4 or 5. You just pick the ones that, I knew that was going to happen. Just pick the ones that you thought were an even weave fabric. So I just did it for fun and just to see and just to do a little bit of review of what's an even weave. What does that mean? But if you have questions about that, please leave me a note in the comments and we can certainly have another conversation about it. I just find it's an interesting tidbit of information, and I'm surprised, but yet not surprised of the way people think about fabrics. Because yes, the weaves are also different. Aida cloth has each square is made up of actually 4 threads of fabric vertically and horizontally woven in a manner that becomes a square. Hardanger fabric is 2 threads woven in a manner that the 2 threads horizontally and 2 threads vertically make a square. There's a name for that, and someone did tell me at one point in time, and to be honest, I totally forgot what it's called, but that weave has a special name. And then there's the single weave fabrics, like your Luganas, like your linens, and those. So, there's a lot of things to know about fabric. And there's a lot of reasons why we choose what we choose. Some people, my own personal preference, just my preference. I prefer a Zweigert fabric rather than a Witchell fabric. I like the feel and the hand of Zweigert's fabrics as opposed to Witchelt and say Weeks being stiffer and a little bit looser woven. So, that all gets taken into consideration too when we're choosing our fabrics. But like I said, it was just a curious moment on my part to see to just take a survey of what people's knowledge base is. So that's my deal on that. So what else do I have? Well, as you can see, Karen's kind of changed her method of stitching yet once again. And you're going, oh, Lordy, now what's she doing? Well, well, I'm back to I am back once again to doing cross country within the diagonal. Because I don't have any parked threads. And of course, we know my wishy-washy feelings when it comes to parked threads. I have a love-hate relationship with them. Sometimes I'm perfectly okay, and they don't get on my last nerve. And sometimes I want absolutely nothing to do with them because they do get on my last nerve. So after, being wishy-washy, or as I like to call it, fickle pickle, I think for now, oh wait, I think I goofed up here. I think for now I have settled on cross country within the diagonal, and see what happens when you are speaking. Skip one. I might have messed up on the other color. But you know what? This is background, so guess what? We are not gonna lose sleep over it. Okay. I was about to say I don't make as many mistakes, but as you now see, that would be a lie, a big fat lie. Okay, so we're here. But like I said, this is background, so I'm not terribly annoyed with that, because it's actually the frame. It's actually the frame of the window. So, I mean, if a color is a stitch or two off, does it really matter? And I can certainly live with that. I'm not going to get crazy nuts and say, oh my God, I have to rip out all those colors. No, 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 no. And if worse comes to worse and I see a spot where it doesn't look where it looks truly really off, I'll just do that little trick of stitching over the stitch as opposed to rip out. And you know what? At first, when I heard that people were doing that, I thought, oh my God, it's going to be bumpy and lumpy, and it's going to look, you're going to be able to tell that you stitched over a color. Well, guess what? I've done it several times, and I could not, later looking back at it, I could not have told you, if my life depended on it, which stitch it was that I stitched over to fix a color. I would not have been able to pick that out to save my life. So I don't have any problem with doing that. But I am finding that stitching this way, like here's what I'm doing a little bit different. I can't remember. Wait, what's her? Thread the Needle. Bonnie. I think it's Bonnie, who has done quite a few stitches on stitching this style. If I understand correctly, she will start at the top and complete that color all the way down the whole diagonal. I'm not doing that. I will start at the top because I am a top starter, and I will take my first color. I will stitch it till the thread runs out, or I have stitched all of that color in that area, and then maybe that color doesn't show up again till way down at the bottom. So what I'll do then is end the color up here at the top, and when I get down to it again, I will restart it. So if I had a color that ended up here and it wasn't again till down here, I would continue to work off these colors. And then when I got down here to this color, restart it. I've just found that if I keep reasonably close to areas that I'm working off my foundation, I'll call it, or my base, that's when I make less mistakes. It's when I skip too far that things go a little bit haywire and I get the wrong stitch, or the right stitch in the wrong spot, or the wrong stitch in the right spot, or just plain mess up. So as you can see here, I've just worked my way down this diagonal, and down here I'm back to the colors that I was up here. So I'm putting in these colors now. So I didn't like take this thread up here and run it all the way down here to do that color. I don't have a plan on doing that. And I have found that by stitching this way and having the great number of colors in here that there are, I'm finding my back not building up with a lot of bulk. Yes, it's not the neatest in the world. And with these designs, it's not going to be the neatest in the world. But it's not getting super, super bulky either. And that, I'm more concerned about that than I am the neatness, because we all know that it's the bulk. If I have bulky here but not here, that could cause bumps when you go to frame it. So, I could try to keep that down also to a dull roar. But I'm rather enjoying this. This is my 7th diagonal, and I started this. Okay, if you'd watched my other videos previous to this, you know that I've been around the block a time or two with how I am, or what count and what style I am going to stitch this. So as of this moment in time, and I believe this is the final answer, I'm working on 28 count, 1/1 full cross. And that's why you see all these little away threads. because rather than flip over and working into the back of the stitches, which will create more bulk, I decided I'm going to do away threads, stitch over them with the next column, and then just clip them off. So that's the plan. I am, like I said, I've gone full circle with this thing. But this, in all honesty, is what I have been most happy about. I believe, let me check here. Yes, I've done almost 2,500 stitches. It's 2418. And there's 346,500 stitches in the whole piece. So, my friends, we have a way to go. I see a tail here that didn't go down. Yeah, so this one's going to be a while. This one's going to be probably quite a while. You know what? But that's okay. That is okay. It is more about enjoying what you're doing as opposed to, okay, for me, it is more about enjoying what you're doing as opposed to rushing through it. Do I like finishes like anybody else? Absolutely. Absolutely. Have I had many finishes? That answer would be no. Do I wish I had some finishes? Well, the answer would be yes. However, you're not going to finish these designs in a couple months. It's going to be more like a couple years. So it's all in what you want, all in what you want to do. I must say, though, I just saw was it the Heaven and Earth group? I was just baffled. There was a woman who stitched a piece, and it was not a small piece. 4 months. 4 months. It's like, oh my Lord. 4 months. My I had to put a comment of, wow, that's just amazing and outstanding and fantastic and wonderful and all that good stuff. But I did have to say, inquiring minds would like to know your secret. Because, oh my goodness, my Stitchers Retreat, as you all, most of you that have been with me for a while know that I stitched Heaven and Earth's Stitchers Retreat, and that took me 5 years. Yeah, 5 years, not 4 months. It's like, oh my goodness, do you eat? Do you sleep? How do you stitch that fast? I just don't know. It truly does just amaze me. And I don't believe it was 10 stitch, to be honest with you. I believe it was all full cross. And I'm pretty sure she posted it in the Heaven and Earth group. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was just totally amazed. Totally amazed. It's like, how? Because look at me. No, I'm not usually a slow stitcher, but sometimes when, you get a little bit of bulk on the back and then you're sitting here stitching and jabbering at the same time. It's not my how fast I usually would stitch. You know, if I'm sitting here alone and um, have music on or a movie or whatever, I'm usually stitching faster than what I am at this moment in time. But yeah, yeah, 4 months, I don't know. I don't think I could. Yeah. Even the Christmas stockings I did for the grandkids, and they're not huge projects. I spent 6 months on each one of those, which I felt was record time. And I really pushed to get them both finished for Christmas that year. I mean, that they were all I stitched on. I didn't stitch anything else for that whole year in order to have them done I started them at one Christmas, and I wanted them done for the next Christmas, and I made it. I spent 6 months on each one, and no, I have not finished my daughters yet. Sir Frosty comes out into the light every now and again for a little bit of love, but I'm really kind of hooked on this one. You know, after I finished Stitcher's Retreat, and I wonder how many of you go through this. I really fumbled around going from project to project till I could find something that was going to hold my attention. I just had a hard time getting settled on something else. I mean, it's almost like, well, no, it's not almost like, it is like you go through a bit of a grieving process, because there I had spent 5 years stitching on Stitcher's Retreat. And in that 5 years, I virtually did not, for the most part, did not stitch on anything else. So it was just Stitcher's Retreat that I spent time on. Oh, every now and again I think, okay, maybe I should start a little something just to take a break from this, but I would do that maybe for a couple hours, and then it was like, no, I can't. I'm right back on Stitcher's Retreat. But when I was done with that, when I actually put those last stitches in, it really truly was like I had lost a friend. And I had a hard time sinking my teeth into another project. And actually, okay, when did I finish that? 2 years ago? I want to say 2 years ago. It's actually only when this one came along, despite all the despite all the starts and restarts and changing my mind and all of that, this is the one that has grabbed me to say, you need to find the right the right fabric, the right method, and you need to stitch this one. So that's, yeah, I bet you it was 2 years. 2 years that I fumbled around. And now, this is all I want to stitch. Despite all my, despite all my starts and restarts and, yeah, my tent stitch experiment. And I, it's not that I did not like that tent stitch. I did. I don't know. It just wasn't grabbing me enough to stick with it the whole time. And it was getting so bulky on the back. Now, granted, this is going to be bulky also, but not as bulky as that was. And that really, really bothered me. Plus, the other thing that helped was the fact that my prescription in my glasses was corrected to what it should be. And I can actually see this now. In fact, I do not have magnifiers on at this given moment. If I have a good light, which there's a good light shining on this, and I am at the correct distance, I'm not right up on it, I'm not too far back, I'm at about 10 to 12 inches from my fabric. I can see it just fine. I don't have my magnifier. I don't have my cheaters on or my little clip-on magnifier things. And I'm really just fine with this. And that in itself is a miracle. That is just a big miracle. Because I honestly thought I'd never be stitching on this count fabric again. I truly thought that the days of anything less than 20 count or 22 count were over, that I would never be able to work on them again. So to be able to stitch on this and on this count, totally made my day. Wait a minute, did I? Oh, okay. Okay. I thought it was at the wrong place. But I'm not. I need to mark off sooner than what I do because that's how I get confused also. Yeah. But I need to get another thread here. So what are we? Oh, we are at 45 minutes. How did I ramble about nothing for 45 minutes? Oh, sometimes I amaze myself. But then we have one more subject that I put on my list. And it's a short one because it's plans. What are my plans in 2023? Are you ready? Do you want to know? Are you curious? I have no plans. I have no plans. And you know why? Because I have tried to plan things on multiple occasions, and I never stick to them. They always go right out the window. I never, ever stick to them. So my philosophy this year is going to be no plans. Do what you have always done. You follow your heart and stitch what you want when you want to stitch it. And what I can see happening is, even though I am doing the Teresa made me do it stitch along, I am doing that. And I am going to do Jacob's 2023 stitch along for Modern Folk Embroidery. But I can see the majority of my time being spent on this autumn church. I'll move this down a little bit, then you can see. Oops, wrong way. There you go. Whoops. There we go. That's how far we are. Now, the other thing I didn't mention and I forgot, I am not keeping this a strictly straight line. Again, as a means of trying not to get diagonal lines now. I am going to cross over the line or leave stuff for the next diagonal. So it's stitching on the diagonal, completing a color, either the length of the thread or till that symbol runs out, and then going back and get the next. Not leaving this straight line, kind of sort of doing what Gemma Stitches does, only I'm not worrying about filling in. I'm doing more color, but I'm also not staying straight, so that if I do go, I'm going to work from the top left towards the right and down, but I'm not parking either. So it's kind of kind of what she's similar to what she does, but with quite a few differences. The object of the matter being to try and keep from getting diagonal lines. And so far I've been succeeding at that. So I just continue to work in this manner and we shall see what happens. So with that, my friends, I think we will call this one a day. And I would just love to wish each and every one of you a very, very happy new year. I hope 2023 brings you everything that you could wish for, and that you have some awesome stitching time in 2023. Don't forget, for those of you that like Hardanger, next week sometime, I'll be coming on to do that first block in the Hardanger Stitch Along, and I'll be doing a block or demonstrating how to at least get you started on a block every other week until we have gone through all the blocks in that sampler. It's a stitch at your own pace. You do not have to keep up with me, or the videos are always going to be there. So if you only want to do a block a month or a block every now and again, that's fine. It's a work at your own pace. Post some pics in the diagonal group. Anybody's pictures are welcome there. It doesn't always have to be diagonal stitching. You can post whatever there. Yeah. So I'm going to work on Modern Folk Embroideries, Jacob's Stitch Along. I'm going to work on Teresa Made Me Do It Stitch Along. I'm going to work on this, and we will see how 2023 goes. So, with that, my friends, I wish you all a very, very happy new year. I probably will not see you until next year. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe, well, no, I don't know if I will. I really don't have that much to show. I was thinking about maybe I ought to do an end of the year floss tube, but honestly, I really don't have much of anything to show you because I really haven't stitched on much of anything but this and a couple days on Frosty, and that's it. So I'm probably not going to do that. And we will probably kick off the new year with Alive, the Hardanger, and yeah. And then closer to the end of the month, a monthly update. So look forward to all of that. And I will see you all next year. Have a wonderful New Year's Eve. Bye-bye for now.